The last example we're going to look at is something that is neither linear nor quadratic. Wheaton Academy decided to sell coats during the year. Below is the number of coats sold each month. Create a scatter plot for the data. So I'm going to plot out all these points just normally. And I'm just going to draw a quick sketch of this. At 1 month, the coat is 13.46. At 2 months, it's 11.15. 3 months, it's at 8. 4 months, it's at 4.85. 5, it's at 2.54. 6, it's at 1.7. 7, it's 2.52. 8, it's 4.85. 9, we're at 8.21. 10, we're at 11.20. 11, we're at 13.55. And 12, we're at 14.35. So if I look at that point, it looks like if I were to try and connect the dots, I get a sine or a cosine curve, which this is what we're going to call the trigonometric regression. It is going to cycle every so often through data points. So let's start by plugging these into the calculator. Go to Stat and Edit. And I've already plotted these points in here. If I wanted to change my window probably wants to go from 0 to 13. And then my coats, I see the max here is 14, the minimum is 1.7. So we could just go 0 to 15. So let's just go 0 to 15 and 1.5. Excuse me, 0 to 13 we said. We're going 13 months. And the y value is 0 to 15. And if I plot the points, oops, need to get rid of my equation from y1 here before I do that. There's my graph, my scatter plot. Now I want to know what is the period of this model, and the way we can do that is we can go back and we can do a sine regression. So if we go to Stat and we're going to go to Calculator, we're going to search for the regression that looks like sine regression. And we're going to store this in y1 and choose Calculate. So y equals ax, or a sine bx plus c plus d. Oops, let me bring that back up. So there's my graph, and I want to know how often is this cycle going to continue. And as we look at this, we can see this one visually. When do I go from peak to peak? Well, it's every 12 months. If I graph it, it's very easy to do. If I wanted to, I could use the relationship of my 2 pi over b to figure out the period of my sine graph. And if I were to do 2 pi divided by b, I would get something that's in the 12s. So just to show you that, let me bring my, not that. Let me bring up my sine regression one last time. And I can see my b value is 0.52532947771. If I were to do 2 pi divided by that 0.52539 value, I can see that I am very close to my period being, I don't know if you can see that too well. There you go. Very close to it being 11.959, which is the length of my period, which I can see here is actually 12, based off of the fact that this is a yearly thing. The last 2 examples on this page is just extra practice that you can do for homework, and we can go over those in class if you have any questions on those.